So, gang, essentially, we closed out Fatal Attractions when we went over Excalibur 71. But I do appreciate that this collected trade that I got from my local library added, in a sense, a faux epilogue. Because what happens is, if you remember from, what was it, Uncanny X-Men, yeah, 3 something. Anyway, it was when Neophyte saw what Fabian Cortez's true intentions were after speaking with Moira, and saw his eyes were open to Xavier's dream, so he fled. This happened years later. I think this was '96 when Uncanny X-Men 315 came out, but the Acolytes have caught up, and now they are putting Neophyte on trial. This is Judgment at Avalon. And oh, look at this. God, I miss splash pages like that. So beautiful. I miss it. I miss it. I miss it. Where do dreams go to die? Or Peter Rasputin, once called Colossus of the X-Men, that place is here, Avalon, display station cloaked in orbit far above the Earth. Stan Lee presents A Tale of the Acolytes. Appears Scott Liddell writer, Roger Cruz guest penciler, and again, I'm not 100% sure on everybody's first name, so we're just going to say Green, Rubenstein, Rosa, and Barretta inkers, Chris Yiannopoulos letter, Buccoletto, Yavins, colorist, Bob Harris editor, and Tom DeFalco editor-in-chief. Oh, I miss that human touch to get that beautiful look. And I'm glad that a lot of newer indie artists are really kind of going back to this. One of my prime examples would be Bad Ink Studios, if you guys have ever watched them on TikTok and YouTube. The way that they use both digital and traditional inking and coloring and pencils, something to check out. We've gone over the first issue of Interdimensional, so I'll make sure to leave a card somewhere here so you guys can check it out. But anyway, moving back to this awesome book. Peter decides to defend Neophyte. I know all hope is that I know this all seems hopeless to you, but you have to understand this entire complex was created by Magneto to offer hope of a better world for all of us. I petition to defend you in this trial because I believe in the man I once knew as Magnus would ultimately have forgiven you for your transgression against his cause. But there is nothing I can do, Torchovich, if you refuse to help prepare my defense. Why risk your standing among the acolytes to defend me? Why? Because I'm a firm believer in second chances. Because if I don't, the punishment for your crime is death. Is it not possible that I deserve to die? What a way to open this book. So, love this close-up. Xavier, or not Xavier, what's this guy's name? Magneto. So remember, X-Men 25, after he ripped it out the adamantium from Wolverine, Xavier had enough and shut down Magnus's mind. 1 mile directly above, as far removed physically from his followers as he is spiritually, sits the chosen messiah of the Acolytes, born Eric Magnus Lensher. He spent many years of his life known as the Mutant, self-proclaimed master of magnetism and self-appointed savior of the mutant race. And then a 2-page splash. Yum! Yeah. Those days are over. Exodus is essentially kind of taking Cortez's place as the voice of Magneto. You doubt me, my lord. But the eyes and ears and voice of Magneto as well, how dare they doubt me? How dare they doubt us? But there comes no reply from this empty vessel of a man. No answer, save perhaps the whispers that echo within the head of the man called Exodus. You can kind of see how he's starting to kind of become power hungry, like Cortez. I think this is Voight. I'm not 100%. Oh, Scanner. She's saying that the trial's ready, and she peers upon Magneto, and she goes, Lord Magneto, it's been so long since any of us have seen him. He looks so different. That was foolish, child. You should have known better. What? What did I do? Do not treat me like a fool, woman. You dared to stare upon the face of Magneto when I made it clear that none but I shall know that honor. Sorry, I meant nothing by exactly. Pain is unlike any she's ever known. You see how power hungry Exodus has become. And I gotta say, I hate the 616 version of him because he's a villain, but the Age of Apocalypse version, that's my chosen version of Exodus because he is awesome in that book. Though that does not negate the fact that I do wish that Hasbro would release an Exodus Marvel Legends figure. However, I will say that It has to come with a bendy wire. That's why I didn't buy Cortez, because I'm tired of those thick, bulky, nasty, fat capes. Anyway, I digress. That'd be the only thing that would make me want to buy Exodus. Anyway, she says, forgive me, of course, this once. Now on to the chamber, girl. I'll be along. Alone again, my lord, just you and I, just as it should be. Tell me again how you suffered such fools, Magneto, for in truth your acolytes are trying. Now, I think this is Voight. She was one of Xavier's first students before she left. And she's, I like that Peter kind of gets under her skin. She goes, as a former pupil of Xavier, Peter was never encouraged to think in such broad terms. Voight, please. It's an affront to even mention that hated name in these sacred halls. Move along, child. Your destiny awaits. Tell me, Amelia, does your unfounded hatred for the professor run so deep you're willing to take out your hostilities on the man by prosecuting this boy in his place? My feelings for Charles have nothing to do with this. So if you guys want to know about her past, Uncanny X-Men 3, I couldn't remember last time. And you could feel the animosity for Neophyte. Let it be shown that this day Scanner, Millen, Cargill, Unisome, the Kleinstocks, Rusty Collins, and Skids Belden, each a faithful follower of he who is the father to us all, bear witness to the charges against he who has betrayed us, and all we hold sacred. And I just one thing I will say again, I've said this a million times, but I hate how Rusty and Skids really got put through the ringer and essentially just kind of throw them as mindless acolytes. But I remember in 25, Xavier essentially shut down their minds when they were former students. It just hurts to see what happened to them. So anyway, Neophyte kneels before Exodus and says, I accept responsibility. Silence, child. What you feel is no concern to this court. All that matters, Neophyte, is that justice in the name of Lord Magnus be served. Justice. Nothing less than I deserve. So you can already tell what they think of, of Neophyte. And then this is basically an unfair trial of his peers. On the evening that Neophyte betrayed us to the X-Men, his actions went a long way to eroding these faiths that lay at the heart of our movement. For this reason alone, the boy should lose what he took away from us. Everything. Therefore, everything the prosecutor has just and I love how Peter just says, ignore everything the prosecutor has just told you. For this has nothing to do with fate and everything to do with the reality of the man born Eric Lyncher. And therein lies the problem. For Magneto has been many things to many people. To some, he was considered a butcher himself when he extracted vengeance from the people who prevented him from saving his daughter, while to others he has been considered a liberator. To the X-Men, he alternated for a time between our correction there. I like how he goes correction there, not our. Deadliest adversary and most powerful ally. Magneto once served as headmaster for Xavier's school when my very own sister was alive. There are many aspects to the man's life. His actions opened to many different interpretations. Is it our place to say he was wrong? Does he not have the rights, the responsibility to honor the man in his own way? And Voight, again, you can see how she's actually using her hatred for Xavier. She goes, you're good, Rasputin. Very good. And so they go over how he essentially abandoned the acolytes. And he goes, knee deep in the rain and mud of Mont St. Francis, I met the alternative face to face. This other way, did it have a name? Yes, Charles Xavier. And at that point, everyone kind of loses their mind. Blasphemer. Uniscon, no, do not force me to put my own mutant abilities against your own. And so everyone starts to turn on Peter because he dares to stand up to what Exodus essentially is saying. So Exodus says, seems I misjudged the account tensions that this would create. I will return shortly with the word of Magneto. He comes back and he goes, I do this with no malice in my heart, Neophyte, but know that you are hereby sentenced to. And you can see he's getting ready to pull the trigger, and Peter says, no, the boy's only crime was the strength of his conviction. Something Magneto, as I knew him, would have respected and honored, for he was a man whose entire family was slaughtered by an army of soldiers, men following orders. Those same men sent millions of their fellow human beings into a holocaust, raging with the heat of stupidity and ignorance. I came here to Avalon because I believed we were going to be better than that. It's the very same reason this boy came to you, to us. He is to be punished for refusing to sit back and blindly follow orders? Is he to be condemned for thinking different, for refusing to stand back and watch as others, living beings, was being beaten and tortured? So then we should all follow, because eventually that is where we will all end up. Anyone who disagrees, who has their own opinion, will soon enough be fodder for the flames. No Exodus, if Magnus's life has taught us anything at all, it was not how not to follow the orders of others. And so Exodus corrects himself and he goes, what I was about to say, they instructed me to banish this wretch to the place of fools known as earth. Begone, Neophyte, knowing you are forever banned from the heaven that is Avalon. And you can see how everyone starts to become shaken by Peter's words, and that there's a lot of, what do you call it, tension rising up with the acolytes. And I'm glad that whoever put this together decided to add this, because it really shows how far away they've come from what Magneto's word was supposed to be, and how Peter is the voice of reason, and how much he has grown from when Xavier first found him way back in Giant Size X-Men. So guys, Uncanny X-Men 315, definitely an issue you want to have in your collection, because it really just shows the depths of how compassionate Peter is, even in the midst of his own torment. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and grab this issue or this collected trade, because it has all this in it, plus all the cool little additions of like the trading cards and history during this time period. And I had a blast going all the way back through this from the, what's that word called? Not interludes, but y'all know what I'm talking about. The building up to middle attractions, because it just adds that much. So if y'all have enjoyed this review, really would appreciate it if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all sticking with me through this Fatal Attractions review, the whole collected trade. I had a blast going through it with y'all and hearing your thoughts. It was very awesome. So if you won't mind also hitting that fancy little X bell. Next, subscribe. That way I can upload content. You guys get notified. Come to the channel. And as I just said, I love talking with y'all down in the comments and hearing your thoughts. I also would like to hear y'all over on social media as well. So I will make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.